This is very important. If you drive a car, you need to have insurance, right? But do you know what kind of protection you have should something happen? Marco Bocciarelli from Friedman, Domiano and Smith is here to help. And you know, ironically, I just went through this. You know, you buy insurance, like maybe I bought it 20 years ago. I haven't looked at it since. I look at it again, and boy, there's all kinds of things I needed, and I could actually get it for less money, but there are things I needed that I didn't know I needed.
Well, that's one of the important things that I think that I want to talk to people about. There are things that the people that should be talking about it aren't. That is the kind of coverage that you need, the kind of coverage that you have. And I think it's important, like you just said, that you just went through this, that you educate yourself on these things, so that you know what you're dealing with as you're moving around on the streets today.
Yeah, so you think you're protecting yourself from liability, but oftentimes you're not looking at what you're supposed to be protecting, that's yourself and your own family.
Exactly. So, you know, what I kind of wanted to talk about was two things just to start with, and that's fundamentals. You know, when you buy your policy of insurance, one of the first things that you look at is the numbers, right? Oh, I saved X number of dollars,
Right.
I've got all this coverage.
Right.
They usually come with two numbers. They're like 25, 50, 50, 100, something like that. So if you talk about 5100, that is just one step above the absolute state minimum coverage that's available.
It's 50,000, 100,000.
Exactly. And people look at that, and I don't think they're being educated on this, because they look at it and they say, great, I've got $100,000 in coverage. You don't, though. What you have is, so for you personally, you have a $50,000 coverage. For the totality of the vehicle, you have $100,000 coverage. So when you're talking about a family or a group of people, $100,000 doesn't go very far.
You can't almost buy a car for $50,000 anymore.
Right. And so the other thing that you're looking at is the types of coverage. And this is really, really important. And this is one of the things that I really want to emphasize, because when you buy your insurance, you're not buying like one policy. You're buying several policies. Liability policy, property damage, and uninsured motorist coverage are some of the common ones. And what I want to make sure that people understand is that when you buy a policy of liability, you're not protecting yourself. You're not protecting yourself is what's really important here. You're protecting yourself if you injure someone else, okay? So if you get in an accident and you harm another person, that liability policy, that protects you. But if you get in an accident with another person and they cause that injury, your liability does nothing for you, nothing at all. You're relying on the people around you that they have sufficient coverage.
How about uninsured motorists? Is that another category then?
That is, and you know, the reason that you need that, and I'm going to come right back to that, but the reason that you need that is I did a little bit of research into Ohio Department of Insurance statistics. 15% of the drivers around you at any given time have no insurance. They're they're breaking Ohio financial responsibility laws. Another 15% have the absolute minimum state coverage, which is $25,000. So very, very quickly, if you look at how much it costs to have simple medical care in the state of Ohio, trip to the hospital, not the ambulance ride, not procedures, not x-rays, none of that, just the hospital stay itself, $16,000. So if you need surgery, God forbid, that's $110,000 on average. So if you're hit by someone who has state minimum coverage of $25,000, you're not even covered if you get into, you're not even covered for a hospital stay.
Right. You pull in the driveway, you spend $25,000.
Exactly,
Right.
Exactly. So uninsured motorist coverage, what that does is that picks up where the people around you, where their policy lets off. So what you need to do is everybody needs to look at their insurance. When you get a policy of insurance, it comes with what's called a declaration page. You probably know this.
Yep.
Like you said, you were just looking at one.
Right, I just learned a lot.
Yeah.
I just learned a lot right now.
Well, thank you. You need to make sure that you have uninsured motorist coverage. And when people come to you and say, I'm fully covered, I get this every day, that does not mean you have uninsured motorist coverage. Okay, so you have to call your insurance agent, you have to look at your deck page, you have to make sure that you have uninsured motorist coverage.
What's the name of the law firm?
Friedman, Domiano and Smith.
Got to call them if you have a problem, if you need more information, and would you come back and talk about umbrella policy sometime?
I would be happy to.
That'd be a good idea too, right?
Yeah, that'd be great.
Thank you very much. When we come back, we're going to add flavor to your water, and we're going to do it a healthy way.